I'm Jacqueline from Airport Improvement Magazine, and I'm here with Mark from Advanced Drainage Systems. Mark, you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So I am one of the leaders on our public infrastructure side for ADS, and we have a lot of different market sectors that we work within. And the public infrastructure segment, heavy highway, airports and rail and those sorts of things, is a market that's really important to us because we have a lot of solutions in the stormwater management side that in the public side where the flying public or the driving public don't really realize how important stormwater, which is all underground once it hits the ground, how important that is to manage. So we as a company, we're based in Columbus, Ohio, and we have 63 manufacturing plants worldwide with a lot of support staff behind us. But our goal really is to manage our most precious resource, which is water. And so anything we can do to protect the environment from damage from water, cleaning the water, capturing it, moving it around, doing all those things that help mitigate the impact to the public from that drainage. So it's really roof to the river as we take care of it from there.
So this is an aspect of the aviation industry that I've never really been that familiar with. So tell us a little about, I guess, why it's so important specifically to airports.
Yeah, so in the aviation space, you obviously don't want water on the runways. And whether it's on the land side where people are coming in, dropping passengers off, or the parking lots, you really don't want water around. You want it to get off the surface and go somewhere else. And then on the air side is a lot of flat surfaces, a whole lot of concrete. And so managing that water and getting it away from the surface is a matter to the whether it's loading or unloading planes or just dealing with the conveyance around the site, is we feel it's important to take that water and then do something with it to meet the regulations that there might be, whether it's federal regulations or the local regulations. We support a lot of the activities that help manage all of that. And for the airports, it's one of those things where they may not think, in the beautification of an airport or expansion of runways or adding hangars, all those sorts of things, is what's most important. But the site can't function without taking care of the stormwater. So we're often not real early in the process, but in the end, it's an important part of the puzzle.
So for a typical airport project, what's kind of the process beginning to end?
So we hope to be as involved as early as possible, because one of the unique things about ADS is we have field engineering and sales representatives in every major city in the United States. So what we're able to do is get the local resources. If the design engineers that are working for the airport, mainly on the civil side, are working with the owner to lay out the horizontal construction, we try to get as involved as early as possible so that the solutions are right from the beginning, rather than, oh my gosh, we have to deal with stormwater. So the earlier that we can at the local help solve those problems, the better off we are. And that's why we have people everywhere.
So what would be the best kind of approach for an airport beginning a project to get you guys involved in the implementation to make it more efficient?
Really simple. On our website, we have a thing that's to start a project.
Okay.
We have a tab that's meant for aviation on our market segment tabs, so they could quickly drop down and say, start a project, and that immediately comes to our team. And then the local team it goes to where the location is, and then we reach out and see how we can help. We also have a lot of people behind the scenes that do design work. We do structural analysis, a whole lot of other things that may not be known to the public that we do behind the scenes to help that process. So the sooner the better, because you don't want stormwater to be the last thing you think about. One of the messages that ADS has in the background is the sustainability and resiliency of what we do. We're the second largest recycler in all of North America. So we take a lot of plastics out of landfills and use them in our products. These are like our 4 pillars of our solution base, but we actually have several others, like harvesting water. We capture water and then reuse it for other things, irrigation, or in some cases even like flushing toilets. So there's other sustainable aspects that our real goal is to take the water and do the best things we can with it, So if it can go back into the ground right there on the site, we want to do that. So that's called infiltration. So if we can infiltrate the water and not even let it leave the site. So like when you're building an airport, a lot of times it's a lot of concrete, a lot of building, and all that water has to go somewhere.
Right.
And so usually it hurts everybody downstream from that facility. So what we try to do a lot of is manage the flow of that water so that it doesn't impact downstream. So the quality of the water, the volume of water is mitigated so it doesn't hurt everybody else too. So there's a couple of, I call it sustainability type things that are around, like treating the water, treating at the bottom, storing it, keeping it from flooding people, those sorts of things. But I think one thing I do want to touch on here is our innovation. We just opened a $65 million innovation center in Columbus, Ohio. It's state-of-the-art, cutting edge. What we're able to do is we're able to take existing technology that we have or market trends, like listening to our customers say it, like airports say, this is what we really need. And we intake that information, and then we try to develop solutions that meet future needs.
Right.
There's nobody else in stormwater that's innovating right now.
Okay.
So this massive investment right here in the Midwest is intended to really support stormwater management much more broadly. We're able to take things and move them a lot faster from design and concept to usable solutions.
And really evolve as your clients'
Very
needs
much so.
change.
Right. Yep.
So at the onset of a project and throughout the project, timeline, what different ways do you provide support to your clients?
Sure, that's a great question. We have such a diversification in our knowledge base that everything from initial concepts, we have online design tools that can, our customers, our clients can do their own design work. But we also have a staff of technicians and design engineers that can work hand in hand with the clients to come up with the right solution, because you never know what's under the ground.
Right.
There's always surprises. How do we mitigate those surprises, and how do we turn response time around quickly? Because it never fails. Like, you might have a 5-year project, but there's always deadlines, and people are always pushing up against those deadlines. And so we're there to help, really mitigate the challenges with those deadlines with all of our self-help tools, but also our internal design support, where we really there's so much behind the scenes that we're very visible to our customers, but behind the scenes, there's so much more that we can do if they just knew they had a free service there.
Right. Okay. Well, so now they know, anyone who's watching this anyway, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
So provide a service that's overlooked many times, but very much necessary.
Right.
Now they know what kind of support you offer throughout the process, and very easy to go to the website, start a new project, and get you involved as early as possible. Try to decrease any unseen hurdles from the onset. So.
Right. Yeah, and I think the other thing too is, I don't know how many airports have a sustainability message in what they do, but in a lot of industry, plastic's a bad word. It's like, oh my gosh, plastics, we got to stop using them. That's what we do for a living. Annually we consume about 500 million pounds of plastic and put them into durable goods. So we're taking a lot of material out of landfills every year and creating long-term serviceable solutions. So our goal is that everything we do has a service life in excess of 100 years. So anytime an airport's building new or reconstructing, our hope is that the solutions that we provide are there forever, that you never ever have to worry about them again, because you can't afford to continue to redo something. So, we know that that's not a sustainable practice for a company, because if it's one and done, then, you never need something new. But the hope is that we're providing solutions that are environmentally sustainable, but that are also good for the site, so that they never ever have to worry about it again. They never have to touch it again. It's because it's underground, it's out of sight, out of mind. We never want people to think that they have to remember about what's there, because it's doing its job consistently for a very long time. And that's our goal. Yeah. We don't want a solution that's a 5 or 10 year solution to something, because that's not good for anybody.
Right.
And that's really our focus is the long-term performance and high-end solutions.
And how it affects the environment. So
Most definitely, yeah.
that's great.
And I think in the environmental space, it's we've done a lot of work. Like we worked at the SeaTac Airport. We just finished a bunch of work up in Columbus, Ohio's airport. We did LaGuardia's reconstruction. We were a really big part of that. They all had different goals. Like for example, in LaGuardia, they were the amount of drainage they need was substantial.
Yeah.
And in that space, the concern about security, accessing the site with truckloads of drainage materials, they wanted to minimize that as much as possible. And so because plastic is very light, we can ship a whole lot on one truck. We reduced the amount of truckloads needed to come onto the site by like 60%.
That's amazing.
So the amount of times they needed clearance to enter the facility was greatly reduced. The pipe is very lightweight, our drainage pipe materials, so they were able to install the material very fast, so move construction along quicker so that they could pave and do the other things that go above stormwater drainage in a faster way. Because every day they're saving flight delays or increasing production on the runways and taxiways and the like. So, when we look at a project, we say what's the right solutions that's going to help that site meet all the goals.
That's amazing. Well, thank you, Mark, for
Thank you.
sitting down with us today and telling us more about ADS and all the different services and support that you offer.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate the time.